Let's talk about co-signing for a son or daughter. And I'm telling you right now, the answer for me would be no. And I know sons and daughters are going to say, how dare you? And I hope my mom or dad doesn't see this video, because to hell with you, lady. What do you know? What do you know? And my mom or dad, they're generous, and I can get them to do whatever I want because I can just cry and this and that. And I'll say, that's fine, you do your thing. But I'm going to tell you, parents, from my experience, don't do it. And I'll tell you what, my mom, when I was a little girl, I turned about 12, 13, my mom said, you can babysit, so I'll take care of your needs, you take care of your wants. So if I wanted a candy bar, I had to work for it. If I wanted a special pair of jeans, back then Jordache or whatever, I had to work for it. So anything I wanted, I'd go babysit, I'd spend my money, I'd get a whatever and this and that. And my mom, she took care of the house, or parents took care of the house and the water and the gas, electric. We had a TV and I had a room and this and that. So we weren't well to do, but we didn't go without. So there you go. So anyways, if your children want a vehicle, they should work for it. If they want even a higher education, you don't owe them that. Heck, my mom even told me in high school, when you go to college, I'll pay for your books, but you're going to pay for your education, so you're going to have to sign up for student loans or get FAFSA or something like that. So we knew ahead of time what to expect. You don't have to pay for their cell phones. Heck, they can work a part-time job and contribute to that. They should be contributing after they turn 18 to household expenses, including their food. If they, $50 a week towards rent if they're working part-time, if they're making good money, they should be contributing at least $500 a month, because rent out there is going to cost them $2,200 a month somewhere. It depends on what city you live, but it's going to be expensive. When kids ask you to co-sign for a vehicle, the answer is no. You better save up for a used car. I don't care if it's a $5,000 car, or else they better sign an IOU to pay you back, and you better go get it notarized at the bank, because if not, you're going to be sitting in front of Judge Judy asking for $5,000 max for a $20,000 car. And I'll tell you, I learned the hard way. My daughter, I used to buy, I would always have a second car at home. So when my daughter started to drive, I let her use my second car. She got into an accident, I got another second car, and she'd use that, and so on and so forth. And whatever, it was no big deal. But then when she estranged at the age of 19 and then came back a couple of years later, we were together and we had an apartment, and she needed a vehicle. And so I signed for a vehicle, and she was the co-signer. $14,000 car, and she had 2 jobs, and I knew she could afford it. The payments were, I think, $352 a month, and not too bad. All of a sudden she estranged again and took the vehicle with her and had it for a year or so, and dumped it off in front of my apartment with $100,000 extra miles on it, a check engine light, and a $9,000 balance on the loan. Yeah, you're welcome. She said, well, you can afford it, so you'll pay for it. What's wrong with you? So outside of that, no, I haven't contributed to them financially. Neither of them, really. But even with my husband, I have a stepson, and he does help his son once in a while. So yes, he helped him with the vehicle. And that's fine. My stepson has a job and he's paying for it. But I said to my husband, if he doesn't pay, you're paying for it. It's not my vehicle. But then the kicker, right? My stepson, he's young, but he works, and he's doing good for himself, and he's got money saved, and he's engaged, and this and that. And we are all hanging out. And all of a sudden my husband's like, yeah, I can help you. And I was in the kitchen, my ears perked up, and I went in the living room, and I said, help with what? He said, oh, he just asked me if I'd help by co-signing for the mortgage for the house he's looking at. And I said, he said, what'd you say? He said, I said yes. And I said, hold on a second, this is a conversation. And all of a sudden they were all cheering. I'm like, wait a minute, hold on. So my stepson went home and said to my husband, wait a minute. I said, this ain't gonna fly. It's called marital debt. That means if you co-sign for this and he can't pay for it, we're on the hook. And I said, no, what if, we've been talking about possibly getting a little cabin somewhere, a second mortgage, just something simple so we could get away and go up north or whatever. I said, that co-signing for a second mortgage is going to work, because if we find a property, even if it's cheap, you're going to have a second mortgage on your credit report. We're not going to qualify for our own little place. I said, this isn't going to work. So anyways, my husband didn't co-sign. But I had to put my foot down. But I'm telling parents right now, don't you dare. Why? Because if you sign it, they don't pay, you're on the hook. Well, that's just the way it is. So anyways, that's all I wanted to say. I hope this helps others. You can do what you want, but don't do it and come back to me and cry, because I'll say I told you so. So anyways, replay this video if you need a wake-up call. And that's all there is to it. And I will be back.